Hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm your host, Danny Osmond. If you love podcasts, if you are passionate about your business, if you want to create and grow a podcast that will connect you with your ideal customers, and you want access to education, to resources, and to other amazing business leaders and podcasters who can help you do it better every single day, then this is the podcast for you. Last week on the podcast, we talked about how executives and HR departments can use podcasts to connect with their employees and even connect with future employees. This week, however, we're going to talk about that point where the executive no longer wants to be the executive and maybe wants to leave their position and start their own thing, start their own consulting company, become a public speaker, basically start their next career. So first, let's ask, why would an executive want to leave their current position? Well, number one, I would think would be the stress. The decisions that a CEO, any C-suite executive makes affects the lives of all their employees. And in a way, it's a lonely job at the top of the company. There are very few people you can consider friends, very few people you can consider peers or advisors. So number one would be just the stress of it all. But let's think positive. Number two might be that they have all this knowledge and experience and they want to share it. They want to share it with the world. They want to share it with other companies so that they can help them improve. Now, the third reason an executive might want to leave is a very common one that we hear a lot, and that's just more margin, more flexibility, more time to spend with their family, time to do things on their bucket list, just more margin in their life. And then finally, reason number four for leaving a C-suite position would be having possibilities that you can control, a business that you can really steer. Maybe you don't have a board to answer to. You are fully in charge. Now, I mentioned last week, we talked about Lee Cockrell, the former executive vice president of Walt Disney World Resort. I want to tell you a little bit more about his son, Dan Cockrell. Dan recently chose to leave his executive role at Disney, which was vice president of the Magic Kingdom, to share his expertise and experience with other organizations and also to spend more time with his family. After a fulfilling and exciting 26-year career with the Walt Disney Company, and upon becoming empty nesters, Dan and his wife made the decision to set out on a new adventure. He had a successful career, but decided that it was time to be independent and travel. His children were grown, his parents were healthy. He decided that now's the time. Dan says, life is about experiences, and you need to go out and have those experiences while you still can. He also realized that he'd spent a long time learning and having experiences, and that it was time to share that info. He wondered, what could he share with the world and other businesses that could help them? Now, I'm going to list Dan's site, and also he has a podcast, Come Rain, Come Shine, in the show notes. It's a great podcast. Dan is an excellent speaker and expert in leadership. You should definitely check it out. But let's hear a little bit more about Dan. So leaving a comfortable position like he had was a very difficult decision, and it's difficult for any executive considering going out on their own as a consultant or an entrepreneur. There's lots of questions. Can you create your own structure? Can you deal with not having the resources and structure of a company and a staff, a team? Can you deal with the ego hit of no longer really being the boss of anybody? You're just by yourself. Well, Dan loved the idea of having more margin in his life, but he didn't know how to market himself as a speaker and consultant. Dan had an immense amount of experience and expertise at a globally recognized company. Most people would think that someone with his body of work would have no issue finding clients or landing speaking engagements. Like many successful executives, though, he knew how to run teams. He knew how to shape company culture and make big decisions. But he never really had to wear that marketing or sales hat. Marketing and sales are pillars in any business. For a solo entrepreneur like a consultant, they're even more vital. Dan wanted to broaden his understanding of marketing so he would never have to jump from client to client or contract to contract. He wanted to step into the consulting space on the right foot. And for executives like Dan, that is where podcasting comes in. Podcasting can serve as the source of all your content. It can drive your marketing and it can feature you and your expertise. So let's get into how a podcast can be the launch pad for a successful career after leaving the C-suite. Number one, like I covered in my episode on repurposing content, the podcast is a huge amount of content that can be tweaked and refined into blog posts, social media posts, quotes, short videos, whatever you want. Creating one piece of content can easily be turned into many other types of content by a skilled assistant. Now, number two, podcasts actually can improve and showcase your public speaking ability. So if you're pursuing a speaking career, a consulting career where you're going to be in front of large audiences, a podcast is a great choice for you because not only can you showcase your speaking, but you can get your thoughts out there and your expertise. Now, the number three reason that a podcast is such a great launch pad for creating a successful career leaving the C-suite is that a podcast is a platform for interviewing people who could be potential clients for your business. You can feature people and businesses from the industry or industries you want to help, sharing the value of their knowledge while at the same time creating a bond with them and giving them the opportunity to be exposed to your expertise and knowledge. And finally, the fourth reason that this is such a great launch pad, the podcast, I guarantee you that every executive leaving the C-suite probably has a book in them. And they probably want to write one. So why not write it? Oh, right. The time commitment. It takes a long time. Well, in a 200-page book, you'll average about 55,000 words. Most people speak 125 words per minute. That's 2,500 words in a 20-minute podcast. Have a good outline and do 22 episodes of that podcast, and you've basically written a book out loud. Congratulations. You know, there are many ghostwriters out there and good editors who could easily turn those transcripts of your podcast into a book. And all you really need to do is provide them an outline and some guidance. Many podcasters have already done this. So over the past 3 episodes, I've covered 3 reasons why I believe executives should be podcasting. In the first episode, I talked about how executives can put a face on their brand or their company and establish a personal relationship with potential customers. In the second episode, I talked about how executives can use a podcast to connect with current and future employees. And finally, in this last episode, I covered how the podcast can be the central aspect of the marketing plan for an executive looking to leave the C-suite for a much more relaxed and flexible entrepreneurial life. Well, thanks for joining me for this series. If you're an executive or maybe an HR professional who'd like to use podcasts for one of the reasons I've mentioned in this series, please contact me. You can schedule a call with me at DannyOsmond.com/call. Now, not only do I help executives and companies launch and grow podcasts, but I also help them start, build, and grow personal brand businesses for life after the C-suite. Services include brand strategy, web design, graphic design, copywriting, content strategy, marketing, and social media, and much, much more. Please reach out to me, and I will help you create the business you will love to be in every day. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you all back here next week.